What is up, everyone? We're live. We made it. Say hi to Charlie back here, courtesy of Hui. But anyways, thanks y'all for tuning in. Today I am doing another live Snapseed tutorial for y'all. Today we're gonna focus on curves because I know that is a huge thing that people still don't understand. And the thing about curves is that once you know it within Snapseed, you can really easily apply it within any type of editing application. So Premiere Pro, Photoshop, Lightroom. So yeah, I mean, we can pretty much get into it. I'm really sorry for the technical difficulties today. Hopefully we don't have any during this stream. So yeah, I think we can get started. Let's go right into the tutorial then. Okay, so the first edit that I'm going to do is a Euphoria edit, but before we get into that, I really want to talk about curves in general. The best way to understand curves is to kind of imagine the color wheel. There's kind of an opposite color that to every color. Here, I'll just go right into curves to explain. What we have here, so as you can see, if I zoom in onto my face, there's some jewels and I'm wearing pink eyeshadow, which never happens. I did Snapseed this, so this wasn't actual makeup, but I will get into that in a different tutorial. I don't think we want to get into that today. So here, let's open curves. And I should probably turn off WhatsApp notifications while I do this. Okay, so let's start with the RGB curve because I think that's the most simplest to understand. The RGB curve combines both red, blue, and green into one curve. And the best way to understand it is to understand curves as 5 different points on the line. So the very top point of the curve is the whites. So this controls how much white you want to show within the picture. So as you can see, if I drag it up, I look super exposed. Whereas if I drag it down, I'm super dark and you can barely see my face. So it depends how much white you want within your shot. Within this case, I don't technically want too much and I normally don't play with the white. So I'm just gonna leave it as is. The second point, okay, honestly, let's take it back to the one shot so I can turn off my WhatsApp notifications before we actually go into the tutorial in case my friends troll me. Here, let me just mute all notifications here. Okay, we're good. Let's get back into the tutorial. Okay, so the second point on the curves line that is really helpful is the highlights. So if I point on it, I know where the 5 points are just because I've done this for so many times. But if you just hover and hold on the line, you'll notice that a grid appears and you can use this grid to essentially help you mark where you're going. So the point here is highlights. Again, you control how much light that's going to hit your face. So again, if you drag it up, super exposed, lots of highlights, drag it down, looks like I'm in hell and it's super dark. So yeah. The best thing about curves is a little goes a long way. You really don't want to make it drastic because little subtle movements will make your picture look really good. So in this case, if I'm going for a Euphoria edit, I want to make it a little bit of a highlight onto my face. So I'm just going to adjust it super subtle there. Okay, so the next point on the curve are the midtones. This controls your complexion. So again, if you raise it up, you have a more faded look on your face, whereas if you drag it down, it's a little bit more contrasted. So if I wanted to look more tanned, then I would drag it down. But if I wanted to look more faded, kind of add a more vintage edit to my picture, then I would drag it up. In this case, I don't want to look too tan, so I'm only going to drag it up 18 cbit there. And then the second last point are the shadows. Again, dragging it down, I look like a burnt artwork, and then if you drag it up, then I look like an X-ray. So this again controls the amount of shadow that you want within your shot. So I want it to be a little bit contrasted, so I'm gonna drag it down a teensy bit there. So again, as you can see already on the line, we're making progress, but you're not making large movements within your curve because a little does go a long way. And then the last point on the curve are the blacks. So pretty self-explanatory. You control how much black you want within your shot. So dragging it up gets rid of all the blacks in your photo, and then dragging it down brings it back. So you don't want to make too drastic of a movement here. So I'm just going to leave it as is. I normally don't play with the whites or the blacks in a photo. I normally just play with the highlights, midtones, and shadows. But again, to your preference. So I normally start with the RGB curve there and I end it there. So because we're going for Euphoria edit, if anyone has seen Euphoria, I'm going to do a quick Google search for you. The colors are quite purple. Like, she likes to play with a lot of purples and pinks in kind of the posters and the art pieces within the show. So if you look at this photo here, there's a lot of purple, there's a lot of pink. So that's kind of the edit that we're replicating today. So let's go back into Snapseed. And now we're going to play with the color curves. So I believe the opposite of green is magenta. So I'm actually going to start with the green curve so that we can get some color into this edit. So if I touch any point on the green curve here and I drag it down, I'm looking super magenta. But if I drag it up, I'm looking super green. So we want to make this edit look really purple. So we're going to drag this down a ton. So someone asked, how to do it when there's a scene behind foreground and background? I don't quite understand what you're asking. If you want to clarify, I'm happy to kind of go and dig into that a little bit deeper. Oh, thanks, Rahul. Okay, so if we're going back to the edit, I want myself to look really pink and purple. So I'm dragging the green curve down, and this controls my complexion because we're playing with the midtones. And then if I want to play with the highlights, I'm dragging it down to soften the lines on my face in terms of, as you can see, if I drag it up, it looks really drastic. And then if I drag it down, it's a little softer. So we want a more softer look with our Euphoria edit. So I'm going to drag the highlights down, and then for the shadows, I'm going to drag it down a little bit as well. So again, if we do a little bit before and after, I'm already getting a lot closer. The next thing I'm going to do is the blue curve because I feel like I'm looking a little more on the pink side than on the purple side. So I want to play with the blue curve to bring up the purples. So with the shadows, if I drag it up, I'm looking more purple, which is what I want. So I'm actually going to leave it there. And yeah, as you can see, this is a more drastic edit, which is why I'm dragging the curves a lot more than I normally would within a regular edit. For the midtones, I want my face to be more pink, so I'm going to drag it down. And then for the shadows, I'm going to drag it down as well. So again, let's do it before and after. We're getting a lot closer. This actually looks pretty close to a Euphoria edit, which I'm pretty happy with. And then the last thing, which is optional, is the red curve. My face is looking a little more on the red side, which is what I want to avoid. So I'm just going to play with it subtly to bring more purple back into my complexion. How to adjust the curves when the portrait has some. So yeah, you can definitely do that. With curves, you have a lot of control as to where you want to make your edit. So within this case, I know exactly that I want to change my regular portrait into a more purple or pink tone. So I know exactly to go into the color curves right from the get-go. But if your portrait, let's say, was looking a little exposed, then you know to kind of go into the luminous curve, for example, to adjust that from the get-go. Ahmed says, I love your style of teaching tutorials. Any plans for more in-depth Lightroom tutorials? Yes, absolutely. I actually don't use Lightroom as much as I use Snapseed just because I'm always editing on the go. But I do use the Lightroom mobile app for some color edits, like if I wanted to make my blues look more teal or green, or my yellows more pink. So I'll definitely do more Lightroom tutorials there. Oh, my phone keeps going out. Okay, so we played with all the color curves, we played with the RGB curve, and the last curve that we want to play with is a luminous curve. Again, these are all optional. You don't have to play with all curves at once. So let's go back to the luminous curve. This basically controls the brightness and contrast of your photo. So I want a more moody kind of look, so I'm dragging the highlights down. I want my face to still be more present and have more glow, so I'm dragging the midtones up, and then I'm going to drag the shadows a little bit down here. All right, that's it. That really does kind of encompasses curves in a nutshell. So let's do before and after. This was before, kind of just a regular, no edits kind of look, and then after. So I'm pretty much done my Euphoria edit. And really all that was is just adjusting the colors to make the tones of the shot more purple or pink. So it's really simple from that perspective. But the next thing I want to show y'all is how to take this shot into a more moody type of edit. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to actually go back and erase everything I've done. And all I'm gonna do there is go back to view edit and go back to my original shot. It's as simple as that. And again, if there's other types of edits that you want me to do with curves, I'm happy to do that here, but I'm just showing you some really simple different types of edits that you can do with one feature within Snapseed. Which is why I love curves, because it's such a powerful tool. You can pretty much get any type of edit just all within curves itself. Okay, so with our moody edit, we want our shadows to be more prominent. And Anj says, if your pic is outdoor or near a window with lots of sunlight, how can you balance edits so things aren't overexposed or look unnatural? Yeah, that's a great question. I'll actually show you within curves here. So let's go back into curves. So let's purposely make my picture overexposed. So let's say your picture looked like that, super overexposed, and it doesn't really highlight any features on your face. I look like a ghost, and I wanted to fix that. So you would go into curves, and I would go straight into the luminous curve because that's what is going to help adjust that overexposed look on my face. And what I'm gonna do is, actually I'm gonna play with the whites this time because there's so much white on my face that I'm losing the details within the portrait. So I'm gonna drag the whites down so it kind of counteracts the overexposed nature of the shot. Then I'm gonna take the highlights and bring it down as well. So really what you're doing is you're trying to counteract the amount of light that's essentially hit your face. So midtones, I'm gonna drag it down, as well as shadows. I might drag it a little bit up here. And then you can also play with your blacks. And then from there, I'm gonna go into the RGB curve and also adjust the highlights, the midtones, and the shadows here. Honestly, curves is all trial and error. I don't even know it to a science. I don't think anyone really does. The whole point of curves is to just play with the different points in the line so that you get that look that you're looking for. So here we go. Let me adjust some of the reds because, nope, let's not do that. Nope, let's get rid of that one. And my shot turned blue. I mean, sure. Let's have some blue highlights on my face, on my hair. Okay. So my face is looking less exposed. Again, it's not like a perfect type of look. Normally when your picture is overly exposed, it's really hard to kind of fix it, especially if the shot itself has already lost some of those details, but you can definitely use curves to really help you underexpose it, if that's a better word. All right, so I'm gonna undo that. I don't know if that helped answer your question, Anj, but hopefully it did. Okay, so let's go back into our original shot. I'm gonna quickly show you how to get that moody look. So again, we're gonna go into I'm gonna start with the RGB curve this time, and I'm gonna drag the highlights down, as well as the midtones and the shadows, because I want a more drastic kind of moody vibe. And then I'm gonna go into the luminous curve and do the exact same thing. I could make my face brighter within this moody edit, but I actually want to look a little more drastic here. And then there we go. So it's not as drastic as our Euphoria edit, but it does make a little bit of a subtle difference. So you can go ahead and play with the red, green, and blue curves here if you want. But I'm going to keep it pretty simple with our moody edit and just kind of keep it this way. So yeah, now it looks extra moody. Any questions there before I go into the third edit? Okay, so let's go straight into, what was our last edit? Unwanted tones. So sometimes when you take a photo, it can look super yellow or it could look super green, and there's just certain tones that you don't want in that photo. So I'm going to teach you guys how to get rid of those really easily within curves. So let me just open this photo right here, because there's a lot of really orange and yellow tones that someone may not want. So let's go ahead and share it to Snapseed, and we're going to work with this photo. So let's get into curves. Because it's looking more on the yellow side, I'm gonna want to add more blue into the shot to counteract some of those yellows. So let's go straight into the blue curve. If I drag the highlights up, you'll already see that the yellow tones are disappearing. But we don't want it to look super cool or super purple because we're not doing a Euphoria edit here. We're only gonna do it a little bit up here and for midtones as well. So if I do before and after, the tones here are green and yellow, and then after I've added some blue into the shot, so it's looking cooler now and counteracting some of the yellow that was in the shot in the first place. Because it's on the more red side, because we've added blue, you can then counteract some of the red with the red curve. So if we drag the red down with the highlights, and then drag it down with the midtones. For shadows, you can see which kind of edit you like, but I like it when I add more shadows into the shot. There. Yes, I've been meaning to do a tutorial on more mobile photography tips and tricks. So that is definitely on my list. I don't know if you have TikTok, but TikTok also has a lot of really cool tips, but I'm going to be doing a more in-depth tutorial there, so stay tuned. Hopefully I don't take another 4-month hiatus. Yeah, so that one's pretty simple. Before and after. So if you want a more warm look, you'd obviously keep it this way. I was going for a more warm edit for this specific shot, but as the weather's getting cooler and it's really gloomy today, and you were feeling a cooler type of undertone to your shot, then you could definitely do it this way. Okay, that was a lot of talking, and those are 3 kind of popular edits that you could do with curves. If there was something else that you wanted me to show you, I'm happy to show. Ahmed says, not much of a question, but you're my first teacher for editing photos. I started photography and editing after I watched your first tutorial. Thank you. That means a lot to me. When I started this, I didn't know if anyone was going to watch my tutorials. I pretty much just wanted to share my love for Snapseed because it's helped me so much with my tutorials. So I'm really glad that it's helped you in your photography journey, and I'm hoping we can help each other. Right, I forgot about that. TikTok's banned in India. Ugh. That's I hate that that happened because I had a lot of followers from India. So, but I am posting more. Hang with Anna. I had plans to hang with Anna, but that didn't happen today, so just ignore. I'm actually posting more of my TikToks onto Instagram as Reels, and now that Instagram introduced Reels, so I'm hoping that you can still kind of get that TikTok kind of content on my Reels if you follow me on Instagram. Okay, what else? Let's just feel free to ask me questions, anything. It doesn't even need to be editing related. I can even show you another type of edit if you were looking for that. Oh, actually, one tip that I can show you from a mobile photography perspective, what I like to do, if I just open my camera here, I'm short, so whenever I'm taking photos, I like to look tall. So one way, obviously, to do that is to get your photographer to get really low and angle the camera up. Hello, you can see my ring light. But another way, which is actually more effective, is if you flip your phone, as I'm doing here, and then you angle it up. So if you do it that way, your subject is going to look more elongated and taller, and you actually have more surface area to work with, especially if you don't have like a wide angle camera on your phone or with whatever kind of tool that you're using. So that's one tip that I love to use. Let's go back to the one shot here and we can just have a chat. But yeah, I'm going to be sharing more in upcoming tutorials for sure. What else can I show you guys? I mean, that's all I had planned actually. So yeah, hope you enjoyed it. I've seen people try panorama to get that. Have you tried? Yes, I've seen people try panorama for that as well. I haven't tried personally myself, but I'm looking to try in this mobile tutorial that I have upcoming. What's your go-to video editing app? So I edit all of my tutorials, especially for YouTube, with Premiere Pro. I filmed a kind of tutorial 4 months ago that I just literally haven't edited, but it's on tips that I use to really edit really quickly within Premiere Pro. So if that's what you use, then look forward to that video because it'll definitely help. And then for anything that I do kind of on the fly, whether I post on Instagram or my stories, I use an app called Snow. So that one's really good for quick edits. It allows you to have a lot of different filters and different effects that you can use really quickly as well. You could share some mobile cam pro settings like idea, ISO, shutter speed. Yes. I could definitely do that. So especially with, obviously I'm filming this tutorial with my MacBook, so the quality isn't as bad, but you could definitely do it with a program as well. But in terms of settings, my settings are pretty simple. So if I go into settings here, I forgot where it was. Okay, I'll figure it out later. But yeah, that's actually a great tip, so I'll definitely be sharing that within that tutorial. Thank you. Can you do a video on home photography, places to take photos, or how to angle yourself? Yes. So obviously with quarantine, it's forced me to get really creative when it comes to shooting just at home. So I think I've used up every space in my condo and even outside in the hallways to make it look a little bit different. So obviously like, you know, shooting on your couch or shooting by like your door in or closet in a way where it doesn't look like it's a typical type of house shot. My favorite angles are always lower again because I'm short. But yeah, that's actually a good idea. So I'll add that to my list. My ongoing list that I just never get a chance to actually do. My actually favorite place to shoot in a house is on the toilet. You would think that, you know, sitting on top of a toilet isn't the most aesthetic type of shot, but try it. Please post a video soon. I want to know your tips. Yes, I will. I know I've been so leggy. I started a new job. I don't know why it's so bright here. I started a new job and then Netflix just happened and I really just need to get back at it. So I'm sorry guys, I'm trying to get back to a regular schedule, but I do appreciate your patience. Okay, so I think that sums it up. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. I know it's been a while since you've seen this face on YouTube, but I promise that I'm going to be posting on a more regular basis. Yeah, if you have any other questions, feel free to DM me on Instagram at simplyt, and you can look forward to my other tutorials that are upcoming. So thanks y'all for tuning in, and I'll see you guys very soon, and please stay safe. And yeah, I'll see you soon. Bye.